I'm excited to get to talk about the mortgage trigger rate because I recently learned about it, and I would bet that many people had never heard about it until recently when all these circumstances aligned to make it really relevant. Now, there's two mortgage trigger terms. There's mortgage trigger rate and mortgage trigger point. And if we go back to think about variable interest rates on a mortgage, we talked in the last video about the fact that a variable interest rate is expressed as a formula of prime. Now, this year alone, the prime rate has gone from 2.45% to 6.45%. So the cost of borrowing has gone up 4% over 7 interest rate hikes just this year, which is pretty extreme and not something we've seen since the 90s. So if people have a variable mortgage rate, which many people do because they've been attractive in the last few years, this hurts. Now, you could have two kinds of payments when you have a variable interest rate. You could have a fixed payment or a variable payment. If your payment is variable, you're feeling the increase in interest rates, but it's actually positive because you're still paying down principal on your property or your home. If you have a fixed payment, you're not feeling the increase in interest rates as much, which could be thought to be positive. However, as I said in the last video, it's changing the proportion of the amount of principal and interest that you're paying, such that the proportion of interest is increasing so much, it might take over your payment. That brings us to the mortgage trigger rate. That is when interest is the entire payment and your mortgage payment doesn't even cover the amount of interest you owe. And that means that with every payment, your balance is actually increasing, not decreasing. So instead of amortizing your property over time, this is called negative amortization, where you are adding interest to your debt with every payment. And so when you hit the mortgage trigger rate, what should you do? You don't have to do anything. In all likelihood, your mortgage professional will call you and have a discussion and let you know what options are. I think the suggestion is to increase your payment if you can as soon as possible so that you're at least paying down some principal, because otherwise your debt long term, you're going to be paying a lot more for your home or your property than you envisioned or planned for. But you could do nothing. If you do nothing and time goes by, your balance will grow. And as it grows, you might eventually hit your mortgage trigger point. Now, there isn't one universal definition for the mortgage trigger point. It's in your contract, but it could be that when your balance ends up being the same as your initial loan, that could be your mortgage trigger point. Meaning if you took out a $500,000 mortgage, you paid some down, but now your balance has gone back up because interest is so high, that could lead you to hit your mortgage trigger point. It could be expressed as a percentage of the appraised value of your property. So as interest rates go up and your balance increases, once your balance hits, for example, 100% of the appraised value of your property, that could be your mortgage trigger point. But really what it means is you have to do something at that, I don't want to say point. And so you will have to have a discussion with your mortgage professional and find another solution. So the best thing to do is increase your payment, even if it's fixed, before you get to your mortgage trigger rate. Don't let yourself get to your mortgage trigger point. I hope that helps. Please don't hesitate to let me know if you have questions. And I look forward to having a conversation with a mortgage professional so we can have this conversation and get her input as well. Thank you.